Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my Nimzo-Indian defense series. So in this series we're following a very nice and effective weapon while playing against the d4. So this is now our preparation while playing as black. So I've covered now already 6 videos so far in the Nimzo-Indian defense with the introduction video. I have covered already 7 videos, so this is now video number 8. So as I always like to say here in my Nimzo-Indian defense series videos, if you want to get a better understanding of this particular video, please watch the series from the beginning, from this introduction video, then with these possible sidelines that I've already explained. So today we're continuing with the Nimzo-Indian with the so-called Torre attack. The Torre attack is sometimes really aggressive to play against. Today we'll cover first this c3 column line. I'll show you what's all about, so how you should handle this c3 line. The c3 line, I think it's a passive line, and you shouldn't have problems while playing against this types of setups. I think you can equalize the game in an early stage of the game, and that's why I think you should be familiar with this first, I don't know, 6-7 moves, just in order to make this opening work. So we'll cover also in my next video this Torre attack with a very nice and aggressive line for both lines. And first I wanted to show you this calm line. It's sort of a warm-up, then we'll try this more aggressive line with some sacrifices, with some pawn breakthroughs and many ideas. So as said, we have here now this Torre attack with the c3, and let's see now what's all about. So here of course white plays the move d4. We are playing our Nimzo-Indian setup with knight on f6, and our opponent can try to play this very flexible move knight on f3. I like this move, and now if we want to go in our standard Nimzo-Indian setup, our opponent can play the move bishop on g5. This is now the Torre attack. The problem is the spinning idea, and basically what white is trying to do is build, after he develops this bishop on g5, he wants to create a fortress on dark squares, because then his best piece would the light square bishops. For instance, if you try something like d5 here, then of course your opponent can try c3. We have bishop on e7. He built simply this fortress, castling, and now bishop on d3. You can try something like knight from b to d7, and here knight from b to d2 will probably be played by white. And these are now the problems. The white's idea is to play knight on e5. If you take knight takes on e5, then of course to deflect this knight from f6, from the defense of this h7, and somehow include the queen here in the attack on h5. So that's why I recommend you to go into a more aggressive line here, not to play passive moves like d5, because there is also one particular problem about this bishop on g5, because after the move bishop on g5, your opponent has left here the defense of this b2 square, so that's why you should try to attack it immediately. So my recommendation here in the so-called Torre attack is to play the move c5. First of all, you are challenging white's center, and it means this fortress idea with c3 will already be broken with c takes d4. And the more important thing is that we can play queen on b6 and attack here the pawn on b2, but already also with the queen on b6 challenging here this d4. So in the continuation, let's now see this c3 line. As I said, this is now a more calm line. There is this line that I'm going to explain here in the continuation with e3 and queen on b6. This is very aggressive, and it comes with some really great tactical ideas for both sides. So as said, here we are doing today this c3 line, which is a more calm line, and here my recommendation is simply to trade off the pawns in the center after c takes d4, queen on b6 anyway, and now queen on b3 can be played. But now knight on e4, it's very important to get now unpinned here. Of course we are not allowing white to take this knight on f6 and then doubling up pawns. So that's why this knight on e4 idea is very important. After queen on b6, a takes b6, of course we have now double pawns. It can be sometimes a problem, but now white can try here maybe to play the move bishop on e3, and this is basically a mistake and an instructive game that I wanted to show you in this particular line. It's a game played by Marchand against Euwe. Euwe, a very great theoretician in chess, and he plays here a very nice game in this particular line, and here knight on c6. If you try something like d5, maybe to to liberate here this diagonal for the bishop. Then knight on b4 is very dangerous with this potential knight on c2 idea with the fork. So if knight on a3, in order to cover that, you have a very nice sacrifice here, then you can again do the fork and continue, of course, with a better position. So here a3 played by white, and here again knight on b4, because we are using really this very powerful a file that we have opened with this move a takes b6, and now king on d1 was played by white, and now knight on d5, creating a blocking system. As I said, in the Nimzo-Indian, we're having many times this blocking system setups, and here king on e1 was played, knight takes on e3, we have f takes e3, and now very important b5, of course, with the preparation to play b4, again challenging white on the a file here. Knight from b to d2 was played. Now d5, we have g3, white is trying to develop his likes for bishop. Now we have this move b4, very important, and now white is simply passing through with the move a3, a4, and here bishop on d7 with an attack against this pawn on a4. b3, of course, had to be played, but you see now this is now weak square here on c3, but bishop on d6 was played by Max Euwe. We have knight takes on e4, we have d takes e4, knight on d2 attacking the pawn, and now f5. You see, I don't think that this c3 line is something really that you have to worry so much about, because here I think white doesn't have a good position. Black is better here with the bishop pair, with the possibility to open the position for the bishop pair. Here knight on c4, not a problem, bishop on c7, and here I'm not going to show you the whole game. I'm gonna send you all of these PGNs that I use now in this video in the description below, so you can analyze in the continuations. But here I hope you realize with this b5 move we have also a very nice advantage, so that's why Max Euwe won this game very easily. So let's see now another line here, again the Torre attack. Let's go back. Here d4, again knight on f6, knight on f3, and here c5. It was a different move order, but now we have transposed into the Nimzo-Indian with e6, and now bishop on g5, again the same line. And the destructive game that I wanted to show you, it's a gameplay by Nabil Saleh against the guy Magami Ehsan, a 2600 rated player. So again we have now the same setup, although the opening was a little bit different, but now with a different move order we have the same position. And again I'm recommending you here to take c takes d4, immediately undermining here the center. After c takes d4, again this move queen on b6, very important. So here white can try queen on c2. It seems a little bit dangerous because your bishop is hanging, but of course knight on c6, and now bishop on f6 can be the line. And you have now double pawns, so you see in both of these variations you have double pawns problems, but you have to get use of the bishop pair. Here after e3, of course d5, now we are liberating our dark square bishop. Bishop on e2, we have bishop on d7, and now white of course castled. We have rook on the c8. We are creating a discovered attack against the queen, so that's why knight on c3 had to be played. And now bishop on b4. We have to get use of now of this dark square bishop, because of course it cannot be blocked out by its own pawn here on e7. So now we are creating maybe some dangerous threats here, and if the position allows it, we can create after potential b takes c3 some a backward pawn, which is also a problem for white in the continuation of the game, which black did of course in the game, and played simply on this backward pawn problem. So rook from f to c1 was played, castling. We have bishop on d3 attacking this h7, and this h7 can be sometimes a problem because you haven't anymore this knight on f6, which is the key defender always of this h7 square. But now black found a very interesting idea, king on g7. If you take, then your bishop is going to be locked here with the move f5, and you lose some material. So that's why queen on e2 was played. Now knight on e7, we have knight on d2, we are doubling rooks here, and now comes this idea, bishop takes on c3, we have b takes c3, and now rook on c8. You see, white has his problems with this backward pawn. Of course rook on b1 was played, not a problem. Queen on d6, hiding the queen a little bit, but the problem with this pawn on c3 stays, and here that's why white improve the position with the move c4. We have b6. If of course c takes d5, then we can cement our knight on a very nice square here on d5, and we can also play very freely with our bishop. That's why here after b6, queen on h5 was played, and now of course you have to play f5. Here we have queen on e2, we have bishop on c6, now rook on b4, and now bishop on b7, and now bishop on a6, creating sort of a positional pin here. We want to trade off now finally this light square bishop. Here c5 was played, very dangerous, but now bishop on d3, c takes d6, and now rook on c1. If you try something like queen on e1 in order to cover yourself, then first we of course take, then you have to take with the rook, and the rook takes on e1, another problem. And you see, this is now the problem. You have a weak d6 pawn. We have now 2-on-1 situation here, and again it would be a completely winning position for black. In the continuation, after queen on d1 was played, bishop on b1, as I said, rook on b1, and again we have now these problems of this pawn on d6, and now simply very nice move f6, restricting this knight's ability to somehow participate in the game. And here in this position white resigned, because white realized that here black is really better with his pass pawn possibilities here on the A or B file, and it was really game over. So let's see now another example. Again we have the Torre attack, c5, c3, and now again c takes d4, and again queen on b6, knight from b to d2 can be played, of course. Again knight on c6. You see in this line really black equalizes the position really in an early stage of the game. Here e3 can be played, d5, bishop on d3, and now queen on b2. If the position allows it, you can also take this pawn on b2. You see this b2 problem is always a problem for white. Here in this line white doesn't go into this queen on b3 or queen on c2, but you have to be careful with the queen, because in some occasions your opponent could try to trap you, like with the move a3. Now a serious threat is really to play rook from f to b1, so that's why you have to retreat. You're continuing the game with the pawn up, and it's not a problem. As said, these games that I'm explaining here are all in the description below, so you can really analyze them for yourself. So here knight on d7 was played, trying to get rid of this very annoying pin, and also of this knight on e5. And here white tried a sacrifice on h7, sort of like the Greek gift tactics here. And here king on h7 was played, queen on h5, but now after rook on f3 it seems that black cannot defend here. But here knight from d to e5 was played, and here d takes e5, and now f6, of course a very important move. You have to liberate a square for your king in order to escape maybe somehow. Here rook on h2 was played. We have f takes g5, now f takes g5, and now rook on f5. Very important to get out of this mess. Of course we want to again escape through light squares. So here g4 was played by white, but not a problem. Here first bishop takes on g5. We have g takes f5, and now e takes f5, rook on g3, and now very important move, bishop on h4, attacking the rook. In the next move after rook on h3, queen on g5, the queens were off the board, and now black has a completely winning endgame here. This is now our main target. We have some pass pawn possibilities. This is a weakness. We have the bishop pair. We have two pieces for rook, and again it's a better position for black. So let's see now another game. It was a game played by Yuri Averbach. Here with the white pieces, and again we having this c5 setup with the preparation to play here the move c3, and here again c takes d4, and if knight takes on d4, you see it's not a problem. Bishop on e7 and g3 can be played. It seems again like white has maybe something, but not problem. We are simply playing our developing moves, simply healthy moves, and as I said, in this line I think really you can equalize the position in an early stage of the game. Bishop on g2, castling, not a problem. h6, bishop takes on f6, and now d5. Not a problem. I think again you have the bishop pair. You have maybe some troubles with the light square bishop, but you can develop it here on d7, or you can try something like queen on c7, b6, bishop on a6, or a6 b5. So not a problem. As said here, the bishop pair is very powerful. We should play on a minority attack here with a6 b5. Maybe try to open the position for the star square bishop, because the star square bishop is our main advantage. Or we could even try to move e5, simply attacking this knight, not allowing this knight to be centralized here. So again, I don't think that white has a better position here. Here again, it's move 10. You have equalized the position really in an early stage of the game. So I'm not saying, as I always like to say here in my opening preparations, that you lose, you win all of these games just by watching my videos. You have to prepare yourself, really for yourself. I'm just going to show you here in the series these lines in which I think you can equalize the game really in an early stage of the game. This learning of particular openings, then it's really up to you. You have to make your own learning in even some more sidelines in order to get a better preparation of this opening. As said, sometimes your opponent can simply change a particular move, can play maybe a sideline, and it's not that you should really learn these openings just to know them by heart. You should learn them with an understanding about positions and how you should, with some maybe main tactical ideas and some progressive setups. So here after d5 again, you see knight on a3, not a problem, but now bishop on d7, knight on b3, and queen on e7. Black has developed finished the development. Again, we can play here a6 b5 and similar ideas. So let's see now another example. Here is a line in which white can try after queen on b6 to get back with the bishop on c1. Again, it's not a problem. I think again white lost some tempos here. Simply development after e3, again to play the move d5, knight on c3, and now bishop on d6, castling, and now bishop on d7. You see we are even faster in the development than white. So this is something that's worth to mention here. Here it's move 10 again. So we have developed now all of our pieces. We have removed the queen from the 8th rank, and now we have connected rook. So as said, we have finished our development in an early stage of the game. Now basically our main idea would be something like maybe knight on a5, fixing the knight here, or try maybe e5 pawn breakthroughs, or get use of this c file that we can occupy faster than white. I think it's important to mention really that now white has to make still 2 more moves in order to make the same picture here happen. So he has to play something like bishop on d2 and then somehow move the queen and connect the rook. So you see in this setup with bishop on c1, so retreating with the bishop back, you see white lost some decisive tempos, and black is now playing basically like white. So because black is now really fast. Okay, I hope you realize this idea. So I don't think this c3 line is really something that you have to worry about. Try to learn it, try to see even more sidelines, but I think with this particular setups you can make this opening work. And as I said, in the next video we're covering now the Torre attack with the move e3. So not here c3. Here we're gonna cover this e3 move, and this is really an aggressive line with this e6 move. So this will be something else, because there are some queen sacrifices, rook sacrifices, and many of these tactical possibilities. The problem is that white is always giving up here this b2 pawn, and it comes really like this poison pawn situations, and this will be, I think, a really fun video to watch. So okay, meanwhile you can watch my other covered Nimzo-Indian setups from my Nimzo-Indian series, and you can also watch my King's Indian series if you want to see a very nice and effective weapon, again also playing against d4, but it's a more tactical variation while playing against black. And you can also watch my hyper accelerated rank Sicilian defense videos, in which I cover you a very nice and effective weapon while playing against e4. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you like this content. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.